Thank you, Deputy Speaker. And Deputy Speaker, I'm happy to rise to speak on this motion because it is important for members in this place to speak on important issues of foreign affairs and that obviously translate to domestic communities within Australia. And of course, being a representative of the third largest Jewish community in Australia, this topic is of particular importance because we do need to acknowledge the loss of life on both sides of this recent conflict. There have been Palestinian lives lost, there have been Israelis' lives lost, particularly sad when it comes to the context of children. But we must also always remind ourselves of the foundation of such conflict, that it comes as a result of the failure of the Palestinian cause to respect a two-state solution and a pathway that recognises the right of the Jewish people in Israel as a foundational pillar for peace in the region. And if that is not acknowledged and that is not accepted, it is difficult to find a scenario where people can live side by side respecting their mutual right to self-determination, to their land, to their peace, to their security, and of course to determine their own destiny into the future. And that is the basis in which you will have a sustainable and durable peace that affects everybody and benefits everybody. And what that has been the position of the Australian government and continues to be the position of the Australian government because it's a clear understanding of the foundational basis in which the security of all people and the peace of all people is based. Of course, having been to Israel myself and the Palestinian territories, as other members have done over many years, we have seen firsthand the direct consequences of what happens when people are divided or separated about a sense of shared future and mutual respect. And we all want a scenario where there is peace and stability because it benefits everybody, removes the risks of violence against people who should otherwise be safe and secure. And Deputy Speaker, we've all been haunted by the images, particularly of rockets that have gone between Israel and Gaza, but we also know the origins of the sources of those rockets. The rockets that have come out of Gaza and been intercepted by the Iron Dome to protect the people of Israel and to stop the loss of human life. And we should be thankful that such security arrangements exist to protect the people, regardless of their ethnicity and regardless of their location, to ensure that the people who seek peace and security in the region are not affected by rockets and do not experience the harsh consequences. Sadly, of course, as the member moved in the motion, there has been tragic deaths, including on both sides of the conflict. And that's a direct consequence of the attempted aggression and as a direct consequence of Israel's right to defend itself. Ultimately, we face choices as a country, as a middle power in Australia, of how we can work to help aid and assist peace and stability in the region. And the basis in which we do now, and we will continue to do so, is to work through multilateral institutions and, of course, with other like-minded countries that want peace and stability in the region. And I particularly congratulate the Prime Minister and the Foreign Minister Payne, who've been unequivocal through the various measures, through the various fora, particularly the United Nations Security Council and the United General Assembly, and with both Israeli and Palestinian representatives to take immediate steps to halt violence, exercise restraint and commence peace discussions. And of course, these continue to be reiterated as required as this conflict has gone on in its current cease, but of course should it arise again, because the position of the Australian government is of course one that is anchored on mutual respect and responsibility and peace and security. But more critically, the foundation of the Australian policy position is the right of the Israeli people to their homelands, as much as a recognition of the safety and security and the rights of the Palestinian people. And we've had a number of different elections and different attitudes within Israel and, of course, amongst the Palestinian people. But the foundation, and we all know the foundation, has to be anchored in the rights of the Israeli people and the respect by the Palestinians to the Israeli people in the same way that it should be reciprocated. And it's that absence and that continued denial of the right of the people of Israel to their homeland that leads and justifies and is inflamed by those who want to take advantage and lead to conflict for their own interests and at the expense and the waste of human life and tragedy.